First to another sport, football to be precise, the Premier League, which kicked off yesterday. Yay! The Premier League gets worldwide... Oh, they're still going. Premier League gets worldwide audiences and generates huge deals for sponsorship and television rights. And after a record summer of transfer spending, the players can afford to strut their stuff on the pitch. On the sidelines, though, there are rumblings of discontent as some supporters try to get their voices heard. Usually they're chanting for their teams, but this week football supporters gathered in London calling for more action off the pitch. In an era of record-breaking transfers and big money sponsorship deals, fans feel they're being priced out of the game.
Clubs operate as businesses and they're obviously thinking how much can we squeeze out of people, but it's quite a short-sighted viewpoint because there's a danger that there's a whole generation of fans, particularly younger fans with the less disposable income, just can't afford to pay the prices week in, week out that are being charged.
Fans feel clubs are exploiting their loyalty.
People love football and are passionate about it, and it's more than a game, it's your identity and your sense of belonging. It's playing on the loyalties of people who will probably pay anything to go and see their team.
Costs overall are absolutely appalling, and I don't know how most people can afford to go. Well, of course, they won't in the very near future.
Merchandise and players' wages are also a bone of contention.
I'm afraid I don't buy all the new shirts, which are £45 or whatever. It's a lot of money, but then some people seem as though they're happy to pay it. So I suppose while people are, the clubs will still be charging.
When you look at someone like a doctor that is saving people's lives, they're not getting paid the same money as what a footballer's getting paid. This out-of-control mechanism that exists is just pricing football fans out of the game.
We create a great atmosphere.
FA officials say they'll pass on fans' concerns, but pricing is controlled by individual clubs.
Of course, in a way, fans are treated as customers because we pay the money in just like customers do, but there's a whole lot more to a fan's relationship with a football club than just that, in terms of the commitment, the involvement, the passion, and all that. And I think there is a recognisation by the wiser heads that that's a lot of what makes English football special and, to use the term, marketable.
Well, we're joined now by sports presenter Kelly Cates, who, as you guessed, I suppose, wearing red, a fan of Liverpool, and the daughter of ex-manager Kenny Dalglish, so you would expect nothing less. We've got the journalist and football fan Lee Price, who's a devoted Man U supporter, but who has just published a book called Turning My Back on the Premier League. Jonathan Shallett, who runs a talent agency in London, which includes sports stars like jockey Frankie Dettori and World Cup hero Geoff Hurst, and Ava is still with us. Again, welcome to you all. Let's start with you, Lee. You turned away from Manchester United, and it's not just because they did so disastrously yesterday at home against Swansea. Why was that the case?
So I turned away from United when they were league champions. The Premier League is the greatest division in world football unless you're a fan. The modern game is so obsessed with money that it risks alienating those on the stands and, crucially, pricing them out of a seat on the stands. They make so much money from the television deal that last season they could have let every fan in for free and lost no money. But instead the prices go up. Arsenal, the most expensive team in the world, their season ticket this year at priciest is £2,014, I think.
2013 apparently, right, but very close.
Extortionate. And for the
although
working
the cheapest one is 1,014 from Arsenal.
A bargain then.
Bargain.
For the working man's game, it's alien.
And how much were you paying as a fan of Man U?
So for on the gate, anything up to £100 for a match day ticket, and that's more at Arsenal.
£100, Jonathan. I mean, it's the players and the agents and the TV sponsorship deals, and everybody else is making a vast amount of money out of football, and it means that fans simply can't afford to go anymore. Is that fair?
Well, I'm not quite sure it's true fans can't afford to go, because stadiums up and down the country are packed out. I would argue the other way and say football has never been more healthy or more wonderful than it is now. I remember when I was younger, it was dangerous to go. You had racism, you had violence, you had police horses galloping across the turf. I remember at Chelsea Millwall once when literally police were galloping across the turf. But now I can go safely, I can take children, I can sit, I can have a glass of wine, a coffee, a beer, whatever I want, and go in comfort. I can see the best players in the world. I'm going to Chelsea's first home game next week, and I'm going to see the guy who set up the goal that won the World Cup for Germany. How exciting that in Chelsea, in West London, I can see a world-class footballer. I don't think it's fair to blame agents. Footballers like any other business. You get the price you can charge. No one condemns a film star when he gets $20 million a movie. No one condemns an entrepreneur when he makes hundreds of millions of pounds. It's a market, it's a business. If football clubs overcharge fans, they won't buy the tickets. If football clubs overprice shirts, I think you were talking about a shirt earlier, a football shirt, people won't buy the shirt. It's a marketplace, and people pay what they want to pay and don't pay if they don't want.
I think it's about, though, who can afford to buy the tickets. I think that if you have generations of supporters in one family and somebody wants to take their child, their grandchild along to the club that they've supported, that their parent took them to go and watch, I think that's the kind of fan who's being priced out of football. I think corporate tickets, I think people who, you know, have season tickets can afford to pay over £1,000 a year. Those kind of people aren't being priced out, but there are a lot of people who are and the question is, you know, about football losing its soul. Well, the fans are the soul of football. You know, it's all about the footballers, yes, it's all about success, it's all about what happens on the pitch. But if you want to market football, if you want to be a club that has a great presence overseas, you have to have something intangible that people can attach themselves to, and that's what the fans provide. If you've televised football with no atmosphere, a game behind closed doors, a group of fans who turn up once in a blue moon, don't know the songs, don't know the history.
People are still going, that's the point.
People are still going, but not the people who've been going for generations.
So football is abandoning its roots.
Yes.
Why should football, you say the football's the working man's game, why should football belong to one sector of society?
It doesn't, but it should be open to all sections of society, as it is.
It's financially. Now.
And what's happened in Germany is that Uli Hoeneß, the Bayern Munich president, came out, and their ticket prices are very low. I think only a couple of £100 a season. And he came out and he said, look, we could charge, you know, an extra £100 for a season ticket. We could charge a lot more money. But to us, that's £4 or £5 million. That's 5 minutes worth of haggling in a transfer deal. The amount of money that comes in via tickets is not significant to us.
Ava, what do you think? You're a West Ham supporter, aren't you?
Well, my son is, so I am by default.
So do you have to buy him the replica shirts and things?
Yeah, I do.
And what do you think about the price of football?
I mean, I think it's very... I think they both got really good points. I think that definitely there are people who have been going for years and years who just simply can't afford it anymore, and I don't think that that's right. I do think that clubs can be able to provide, you know, something for their absolute hardcore, die-hard fans. I don't think that it's excusable just to say, you know, you can't come here anymore. I'm not sure about it being a middle-class sport so much, though. I'm not sure. I mean, even public schools and stuff, they don't even play football.
You mentioned West Ham. You've got fantastic family enclosures at West Ham where you can get package tickets so that the whole family can go.
But that's an exception, and you say that fans are still going, but actually, away games, fans are falling, attendances are falling. So increasingly, it might be a minority, but people are going less and less because they can afford to go less and less.
Some might argue the trouble that away fans bring makes it better they don't go.
I want to head to Edinburgh and find out what people in the festival city think. Hardeep Singh Kohli's there for us all morning. Morning, Hardeep. What are they saying there?
Morning, Sean. I'm joined by Andrew J. Wilson and Karen Bailey. It couldn't be a better day to be in Edinburgh. The Edinburgh Derby's here. Andrew, you're a director at Motherwell. It's different in the Scottish game, isn't it? We're suffering a different malaise here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Premiership's the World's League. It's global TV audience, huge sums of money. We're going through an adjustment here to a more sustainable model where clubs are embedded in their communities, much stronger connections with the fans. We're not there yet. There's a distance to travel, but we're starting to get there. As you say, Edinburgh Derby today, both those clubs look like they could go towards something of a fan ownership model. My club's trying its best to get there. So it's changing. Both models can work. It's just different in the world. You can't gainsay the joy that is the Premiership, but we've got to do things differently here.
Jonathan Charlotte made the point that it's a free market. Does that mean there are less supporters and more customers?
Yeah, I mean, well, on the numbers point, Scotland's got the best supported league in Europe in terms of proportion of the population turning out to watch football. We do very well. But yes, they are very much supporters. They've more of a say in how the clubs are run. They're not so distant. We like to say that we've got teams that you can touch almost, whereas the Premiership is up there and almost unattainable. For us, it's closer to home.
Karen, you're a West Bromwich fan, so you're used to pain in a different way. But
definitely.
Fans surely are over a barrel. I mean, can they genuinely boycott and not show up? The revenue at Premiership clubs from fans seems less relevant given the huge sums of money involved in the game now.
If everybody did boycott, but that's never going to happen. When you're a football fan, logic doesn't come into it. It's loyalty. You don't think with your head, it's your heart. And teams know that. Teams exploit that, whether it's merchandise, whether it's ticket prices. I mean, some teams make an effort and let children in for £1 or provide travel, but it's not enough done for the fans.
There seems to be logic and loyalty in the terraces, but not in the boardroom.
Absolutely, yeah.
Marvellous. Well, as a Gooner, I'm very happy. We won 2-1 yesterday, Man United lost. Football's a beautiful game today.
Thanks, Hardy. Jonathan, that sort of the general sense we're getting is that football seems to be pricing out the ordinary fans, and it does come back to how much players are paid, how much you put into the stadiums, how much money is going elsewhere, basically, which means the ticket prices go up. Doesn't some of that responsibility fall to agents who are getting, 10% sometimes of very big money deals and 10% of salary too?
I don't think it's a question of fault. I think the question is football in a good place? Football has never been in a better place. Very simply put, for many years, footballers were underpaid, treated appallingly and not rewarded properly. Footballers are now rewarded properly for what they achieve for their clubs. You've got to remember, television rights in the UK alone for the current season are £3 billion. Why shouldn't the footballers share in that? Because without the footballers, you wouldn't have the sport to show on television.
And the outcry this morning, as far as Man United is concerned, is you need better players. You need more money in your pocket to go out there and buy some better players, and then this would never have happened.
We're talking in business terms, supply and demand, revenue, profit.
Yep.
The supporter isn't a transaction, it's not a customer. The supporters, the ticket prices are a drop in the ocean.
But they like to see good players, and the only way you're going to get good players is by paying them big wages.
Yeah, but that's totally irrelevant to the supporter. Man United have the world record sponsorship deal with Adidas. They've got more than enough money without charging their fans, hundreds of pounds. That doesn't make a difference.
There needs to be some
Sorry,
Kelly. I was just going to say there needs to be some kind of social responsibility programmes within football teams. I think that would help a lot.
They do have that, but I think that in terms of paying the players' wages, I think that's a different point. As you're saying, the money that comes in from ticket prices is a drop in the ocean. I think if the extra money that's come in from the new television deal, I read somewhere that would be enough to send every fan in the Premier League to the games for free for a whole season. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Football clubs have to be run responsibly and they have to take care of their finances. What they can't do is squeeze fans out.
Very good.
And I get the last one.
The ref has blown the full-time whistle.
I think you're being idealistic.
Oh, no, you
Why
can't.
not?
The ref has blown the full-time whistle. We are not in extra time, Jonathan Shalit. Thanks very much, all of you. Still to come on Sunday Morning Live.